And that's a hell of a sound to start out with. We are live on that note.
Gotta clear the pipes.
There you go. It's another episode of the Golden Bloby nominated All Aboard. Choo choo. Right. We're down one. We don't know where he went. ICE could have taken him. We're unsure. But hopefully, if LK shows up, we'll bring him in. In the meantime, it's the holiday season. Happy Hanukkah. Ned, what's going on?
Happy Hanukkah.
There you go.
There you go. All right, try that. Hanukkah. Chaim.
So how's it going? You've been busy? Life good? You getting ready for the holidays?
Actually, the holidays are pretty much under control because I took my own advice.
Nice.
And got all my Christmas gifts in before the vaccine crunch, which is now upon us.
Yep.
So, yep, all's good. Got the
vaccines
got myself a gun. We're ready for the Biden administration.
There you go. So vaccines are shipping. We can start there.
Sure.
I know that you have already made it abundantly clear you are not getting the vaccine. That said, there's been a lot of talk about who's getting it first. Obviously, I think everyone agrees. Doctors, nurses, first responders, frontline workers, no question they should get it first. But then there's been a lot of question about who's next in line and where do we go from there. So let's talk about it. What do you think? Who do you think should be the next to get the vaccine?
Well, the people who are getting it next are going to be those in retirement centers or convalescent homes, the most vulnerable, those over 70.
Yep.
And I'll be close. I'm close, so I should be getting it. I'll be qualified.
Just about there.
Yep, I'm just about there. And that'll be in through the month of January, and then from that, it's going to be 30 to 40 million doses available for those who want it until they have the crowd immunity by July. They're saying.
But so forgetting that, there's no way it'll be done by July. Well, I mean, what I heard was that you needed anywhere. Right, but I heard that there needs to be about 85% of Americans need to take it in order to get herd immunity.
I'm not sure about that number.
I think I read that somewhere that it has to be about 85%. There's no way 85% of Americans will have taken it by July. There's just no way.
But they will have access to it. It'll be at CVS, Walgreens. They're already.
I mean, you really think it'll be available to everyone by then? That they'll have enough of them?
So. Oh, excuse me. That's what I do for a living. It's going to be there. No,
I forgot to deal with the CEO of Pfizer here.
That's right. I'm the McKesson COO. No, but between FedEx and UPS splitting up the U.S. between the ground and air, as long as it's being produced by Pfizer and then AstraZeneca, Novavax, Moderna, it'll be ready.
All right,
it'll be there.
So, okay, but getting back to the question. Here's I guess I'm going to go with my list, right? So I know that it was a hotly debated issue after Trump said it, but I actually think it makes sense for the president and his cabinet to be priorities for the sake of government continuity and, just keeping our government functioning. And then I think, here's where it can get really tricky. You said that the next ones to get it, and I agree that they're going to be the next to get it, are the those that are senior, those that are more at risk. Vulnerable. But to me, I would actually go towards people like teachers. I said this a couple weeks ago. Kirk said it this past week that I strongly believe that the schools are where the kids are. They're safest and they're adhering to the rules the strictest. So anything you can do to get the schools open and get more kids and students of all ages. I'm not just talking about elementary anymore. I'm talking about college. I'm talking about professors, everything. So I think
they congregate. Correct.
Yep. And then after that, I would go with people who who can't do their job remotely. People who must be out there to get their job done. People like restaurant owners and workers, delivery people, mail people, brick and mortar, retail and services. I think those people should be made a priority. Construction. I think that's where the priority should go before we get to seniors. And I understand that, it's all about risk mitigation and getting those who are most vulnerable first. But man, I just feel like it really should be the people who need it most to keep our country going and keep the economy going, just keep everything functioning.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't really thought that much about it. You've really thought to a much lower level than I have. But no, you bring up a good point, and it's correct. Those who can't work remote, I'm lucky because I've been working remote for like 7 years now, with a small gap in between.
Yep.
Pretty independent, and
yep.
Just as long as I can fly to where I'm going. Now, no one's flying, so everyone's doing Zoom and WebEx meetings, so that's not a problem at all. So yeah, I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. So yeah, I think maybe the teachers might be a good. I also might shut them up, right?
Yep.
They might be a good second choice. Yeah.
What do you think about indoor dining?
I do it every weekend.
I'm saying
live in a great state.
That is true. But Dave Portnoy went on his rant. Kirk was pretty strong about it earlier this week also.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're totally in favor of it. You think it should be allowed, I mean, with restrictions, without?
Well, they have the silly restrictions where you have to wear the mask entering the restaurant or bar until you're seated, and then you can take your mask off. Okay. I don't see the point in why you just can't be, go in without the mask on.
What about capacity limitations?
No, I think they're fine. I think as long as you, they don't. I mean, unless you're in a restaurant that's super crowded, like in Manhattan, some of the restaurants get very crowded. But yeah, they should just maintain just one less table, maybe to add extra room, but nothing like a 30% or 40% capacity. That's stupid.
So it's funny. I've never understood throughout this whole thing about why indoor dining was really an issue. Because again, to me, it's like the school thing where people are really, really focused on adhering to the rules. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like they're really, whatever we can do to get people back to normal, and that's why I go back to what I said before, that, I think restaurant owners, workers, people who need to be at their job to do it, I think that's who it should be.
Yeah. No, and that's actually a good narrowing down of even an already narrow field.
Yep.
But as I said before, if you want to get the vaccine, it will be available to you, and definitely by July, everyone should be able to have access to it.
When do you think the earliest is that it'll actually be available to the mass?
Oh, I would say by the end of January.
You think by the end of January there'll be enough made and distributed to be available to?
Well, no. Available beyond the groups that we talked about.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. It'll be shipping out to Walgreens, to actually any pharmacy. They won't be. I mean, you can get them at the hospital, but they say don't go to the hospital to get it. Your doctor will have it. Walgreens, right. CVS, Publix. I mean,
yeah. No, I understand, but you're
blank. But no, like Shaw's and Hannaford's, they have pharmacies. They'll be able to get them there.
Yeah, but so you think by the end of January we'll already be able to, I can make an appointment to go get one?
Yeah.
We'll be past those people?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I think that is optimistic as hell. I think we're months and months away from that.
No, I don't think, because I know the logistics of it. The production is there. Keep in mind that Pfizer has already produced hundreds of millions of these doses already and positioned them to distribution centers. So now that they got the go ahead, they're sending them out to the first responders. They've already been in place for a while, at least about a month. And the big shipment points for Pfizer, which is Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and Kalamazoo, Michigan, they're sending out, and now much larger quantities, on really hitting the UPS and FedEx air and ground network, because you can ship these things deep frozen from coast to coast if you needed to by truck. So yeah, it's already moving.
Interesting. All right. So, I mean, do you want to now think about who you think should be on that list?
I'd rather think about those who we don't want on that list.
Okay. So who don't you want on that list?
Antifa. I'm just trying to think.
Everyone on the left, right?
I would say Democrats in Congress. Yeah. So no, but seriously, it's if you want to get it, it's gonna. The thing they don't know is how long is this going to be valid or effective for?
Right.
Will we have to get another one next year? Is it going to become like a flu shot because it is a SARS influenza 2 virus? So will we have to get one every year? Will it mutate and we'll have to get a different one next year?
I mean, but I think that it's. I mean, listen, just like everything else with this, we don't actually know what the truth is. and how long this will actually last for and what the long-term ramifications are, I assume that this is now going to be a flu shot that we're going to have to get every year. I can't imagine that it'll be anything, more long-term than that. And again, I've said it before, I will be getting the vaccine as soon as I can. So I'm all for that. If it was a one and done, would that impact you at all in terms of your decision making?
Not really, because I don't get a flu shot anyway, and not because I'm anti-vax. I'm not at all. But I'm like, I get the flu, once. It's not with me. It's not terrible. It's a couple of days of congestion and a cough, and I'm over it. Now when I had it, because I'm pretty sure I had COVID back in late January, early February, right after Madawaska, actually. It was pretty bad. I mean, I wasn't laid out, but it lingered like for 6 weeks. So, and I still have effects of it even now. So are you typing?
I am typing. I'm responding to the comments, and I know I should.
Why are you responding to the comments?
I know, right?
Adam asked some tough questions. I like that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's who. It's the usual people that are in there with their burners.
We got nine comments now. So last time we had like 2. So yeah.
Anyways, so, but yeah, I mean, So it has nothing to do with the length of time for you. For you, it's just really just the unknown and the lack of knowledge around whether or not it's actually safe long term for you, and
the fact that the COVID virus isn't that deadly. I mean, if this was the 1919 Great Influenza, where you were sick in the morning, you died that afternoon, yeah, I'd probably want to take something. But no, this is not that serious, at least for me. So. No,
fair. That's fair. But you did mention the Democrats rather in office. So we've talked a lot about politics on the show, and quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I think everyone is. So we're gonna wrap up our politics segments with this one last topic. So what was it, today or was it yesterday that Biden officially won the election? Was that yesterday that they officially voted?
I think it was yesterday. See, right. liberal LK would be here.
Yeah, LibK would be great for this.
I stopped paying attention.
So I think that one thing that we haven't talked about is what we think will happen in the next 4 years. What can we expect? Obviously, now that we're past the point of platforms and talking what's actually going to get done over the next 4 years. So I'm really curious, actually, Ned, because you are our in-house resident historian. So all about the first 100 days and the 4 years and everything of all the presidents in existence. So what do you think? What are you expecting out of the Biden-Harris administration?
Well, the disturbing thing that I think we're all seeing now in the mainstream media is the media is now slowly undermining President-elect Biden, where suddenly it's quite apparent to them, shockingly, that he has trouble getting a sentence out, that he has trouble with a cognitive thought. Suddenly his son's laptop is really interesting. So I think they're laying the groundwork for, I don't know. I know the Channel Zero guy said by June or maybe even now late spring. I think it's going to be a longer term undermining of Biden before the end of 2021's calendar year, that they'll get him on the 25th Amendment, which is his incapacity. Okay, and then we'll have President Harris, and the real question is the Georgia runoff election. Was January 5th, and voting has opened already today, early voting. So that'll determine, if the Democrats sweep those two, then we're looking at a Democratic White House, Senate, and Congress, and that's pretty much going to be a long time before we can get out of that hole. So buy your guns, buy your ammunition. Even
oh God, oh Jesus,
even bring swords help too. They can't confiscate.
What the fuck is that?
It's a samurai sword.
If anyone's not watching,
it's normally where my Christmas tree is. So my wife says, "Get this out of the living room and put this in your office." So
Ned just literally pulled out a samurai sword like he's fucking Bruce Lee over here.
But yeah, that could be, and I think liberal LK predicted it, geez, a while ago. That if that's going to happen, you're going to be looking at 12 years of a liberal government, and who knows what they could do.
So, I mean, do you think that there are going to be any executive orders within at least the first 100 days?
Oh, I'm sure. I just don't know what they could be. Right? Do you have any idea? Because I have no.
I do. Look at that. I did some research.
Yeah, it's not that it's research. I'm just thinking, like, whatever we've tried to determine, like, oh, it'll never go. Even with Trump too. Oh, it'll never go this far, and it goes that far, or he'll never get away with saying that, and he did. So I have trouble even comprehending what could possibly be. So I have to just prepare for what eventualities you can see happening.
Yep. So I jotted down a few things, including things that I think will happen over the first 100 days. Then also just a number of other things. But in terms of the first 100 days, I think for sure that executive order that Trump signed to end racial and sexual stereotyping training for government officials and contractors, Biden will put in an executive order to repeal that and reverse it. I think that there's a very good chance there's an immigration act. It's called the Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants Act of 2019. This passed overwhelmingly in the House. It's about, obviously, it's employment and related to immigrants, Ned, immigrants.
No, but India,
right.
India, yeah.
And so that passed overwhelmingly in the House, Democratic House. The Senate has blocked it. So there's a lot of talk that, he's going to just drive that along. The other thing is, and this one actually scares me a lot, is raising the minimum wage. I have no issue with people making more money. I'm all for that. But I am someone who believes that if you raise the minimum wage, you're going to lead to less people having jobs. Look at a McDonald's, a Starbucks, all these other places. Obviously, I know a lot about McDonald's. All these places that are now, automating the transactions so that they don't have to hire more people. So yeah, they might raise minimum wage, but I am one of those people who believes that actually has negative impacts. I do expect some sort of COVID relief bill. I don't think that the government's going to be able to put one together now. I think that most likely someone like Pelosi is going to get in the way of it. And I think that a part of that is so that they can then have Biden put it out and be the hero for everyone, which, listen, as long as we get it, I do think it's important right now. There are a lot of people out there struggling. So yeah, I mean, I think that those are a lot of the big things. I also think there's going to be rejoining the Paris Accord. I think he's going to act quickly on banning fracking. Student debt is something that he said he wants to erase immediately.
I don't think you can just ban an industry.
He won't ban it outright, but he's going to start putting in regulations quickly. That's a lot of regulations. For sure. On the flip side, you can put in regulations that make it a very hard organization.
Hold on. Watch how fast the red Republican, or I should say the blue Republicans and Congress would flip when cash is involved for their pockets. If the fracking industry, the oil industry comes, like lobbyists comes handing out money to have them see it their way, believe me, fracking will be legal, And debt, I don't know how any bank is going to allow, is going to not lobby to stop that, student debt. I know Ari Minahan would be thrilled if he never needs to pay back. But
Steve from Providence is going to try to see if it can apply to, what the hell is it called? Childcare or whatever the fuck it is that he owes his ex-wife.
But I don't think, I think it's a lot of, just like the left did very effectively against Trump. It's going to be a lot of like, a hysteria about what could possibly happen. But no, because the corruption, the swamp is deep. I mean, call it the swamp, call it whatever you want, but the corruption runs very deep. So as long as there's money involved, you won't see major change unless it comes from like a groundswell of the people, of either side, from the left or the right.
Yep.
So I don't really see it like too radical, I mean, Trump was the wild card when you think about it, because everyone fears going into each president's administration, but they always seem to go from the extreme to govern from the middle.
Yep.
Trump was the one who didn't really do. He didn't change one bit. But he did kind of, if he had been given a chance, he would have governed from the middle right. But he wasn't given that chance. So I don't know if Biden or even Harris is going to be completely left wing. I do think they'll be open to that, and we'll still have to fight the radical wing of their party.
Yep.
You know, the AOCs in that crowd, but we'll see.
Do you think that there's going to be over the next 4 years a lot of foreign affairs that come into light now, and either reversals of relationships we've had under Trump or reversals of relationships that have been tarnished under Trump?
Well, the relationships that have been tarnished under Trump were always in the worst interests of the U.S. So China was the biggest one, and he was in the middle of straightening that out when he wasn't elected anymore. But he mended fences with North Korea, crazy as that may sound, but he did. Look what he's done in the Middle East. That's not getting any publicity or press coverage. Of
course.
But the eighth nation, that trade bastion of Bhutan, just opened trade relationships with Israel, I think yesterday, the day before. But we had Morocco earlier over the weekend, and it's going to continue to happen. So,
and that, by the way, is where I think that it's going to be obviously, some issues. I think that, I hope that Biden doesn't reverse the capital change to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. I'm also really hopeful that Biden doesn't try to go back to the shitty ass Iran deal that Obama was all for and drove forward that Trump destroyed.
$4 billion.
I mean, I pray that he doesn't, try to get back into that.
It should be brought up on. I'm not sure if it's treason, but it should be brought up on a charge for that, releasing money to your enemies.
And then,
let's transition out of this too.
Well, no, hang on, because I actually want to get your take. I want to get your take on this. All right, the Afghanistan, right? So on the drawdown for U.S. troops, we're going to be at about 2,500 by January 15th. So that'll leave us with the smallest contingent since the U.S. went in the first place in 2001. So this is coming at a time now where the Taliban's control is really starting to grow again. This is looking this is looking like if he actually holds to keeping the troops back, that this might be another Vietnam-style defeat versus, him turning his, making a full reversal and a 180 on what he said and what everyone's been hoping for, and that he's going to send troops back in. What do you think is the most likely scenario there?
That's a good question, because I'm not sure what he would do, but the wise thing to do would be continue to draw down the troops in Afghanistan. We've been in there too long. We've tried to straighten it out. We shouldn't have been in there in the first place. But that can be debated or not. But it's they've got to stand up on their own at some point. It's been 17 years, I think, 18 years, 16 years. So,
no, more than that. It's been 19 years
since Afghanistan. No.
We went in 2001
into Afghanistan.
That's what the article that I read.
Well, the top of the Taliban, I guess so. Yes, but we didn't displace the government. But the government. Okay. All right. Okay. But at the same time, yeah. But at the same time, though, how long do we have to stay there for our definition of stability?
Right.
And thing is, we don't want another Syria either. If we do pull out a vacuum, nature hates a vacuum, and somebody will go in there and fill it in. We could have a civil war,
right?
With what was going on in Syria. So
yeah, no, for sure. And speaking of civil wars, and you talked about it before with different colored states. We're seeing a mass exodus of people from California, a very blue state, to Texas, a very red state. Now we're talking about huge companies, huge. That are the bedrocks of industry in California. Companies like Oracle, HPE, Tesla, all of who in the past 6 months have moved from California to the Austin area, which, for those of us who work in tech or who have been in or near Austin, shouldn't surprise anyone. But it goes beyond that, because in the past decade, almost 750,000 Californians in general have actually moved to Texas, and Californians make up 13% of the entire population that has migrated to Texas since 2010.
So what does that tell you?
That to me is the interesting question. Is it because people want to get away from the blue states and these are people who want to go to a red state, or is this the spreading of and trying to take over a red state to a blue state?
They did it in Oregon and Washington State in the late 70s and early 80s. that they're going to turn Texas bluer than blue. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen sooner than later. The companies that are moving there
sooner than later. Texas is too big. Texas is too big. You need way more people to be coming in than $750,000 for Texas.
No, you don't. So
first right now, they're all in one area. They're all right now in Austin. That's not going to help them take over the whole state.
Houston. They're all over there in Houston and in Dallas, here in Houston and Dallas too. So my daughter lives in Texas, and she knows that it's going to be within 5 years, no more than 10. It'll be completely flipped because of the exodus to California, where they're going to change the laws. This is all part of the plan. Florida will be next. And then I'm going to be looking at living in Bermuda or somewhere. And besides, Tesla is, I think it's a great company, but it's not a very profitable company. It's still, its product is great. There's no question about it, but it's still a little too expensive for the common person. It can't compete with like a Toyota Civic or a Honda Civic. I'm sorry, or Toyota Corolla. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. But it's not a very profitable company. HP, they make hardware. So I mean, they're also
this is HPE. This is the enterprise side of it.
Sorry.
So they are
yeah. But I mean that Then the question is are they going to move people there, or is it just the company moving their
Nope, they're moving people there, and they're also using this as a sort of this is a good way to get people to be to make it easier for people to work remote if they want to in this new world. Also, don't forget that Texas has much lower taxes and much more relaxed regulatory is a much more relaxed regulatory environment
now.
But why would you talked about before about lobbyists? These companies aren't going to Texas from a super regulated state and a lower tax and a higher tax rate to a state where in 5 years from now, as you said, it's going to be back in the exact same situation. That does them no good.
Correct. But what was California before? It was also average tax. It was a Reagan, red state, right? It's completely gone the other way. So they will absolutely get in there. And when the Californians get in and they run for their local congressional seats and state seats, you'll see taxes come up. Absolutely. Count on it. Take it to the bank, as Tim from Canada said.
Tim from Canada or Steve from Maine.
Yeah. Can you really take that to the bank? Yes, you can take that to the bank.
I had thought that if this trend continues, we'd be probably looking at a couple of decades first to see some change. I really think you're dead wrong on your timing here.
One decade. We'll bet.
How do you think that'll be? So
I'm still alive in 10 years. Absolutely
done.
I think in 2024 you'll see the presidential election in 2024. Texas will go blue.
You think
it was too close now?
I think you're crazy for thinking that. Just so you know, in terms of numbers, in 2018 we peaked with 86,164 Californians moving to Texas. It went down in 2019. I'm sure 2020 it went down just for every reason in the book, right?
My future son-in-law was one though. He went from LA to
son of a bitch.
Oh wait, did I say future son-in-law? I don't think he's proposed. Sorry.
Oh God, you just walked into a fucking landmine.
Luckily, they don't watch. Luckily, they're not one of our 49 viewers, Adam.
49 on a good day.
No, I absolutely believe that. I completely believe that, and I don't see a value. I mean, it's a great morale, if you want to say, or morale booster if you're on the right. Where look, Tesla is leaving California for Texas. Great, but. There's got to be more than that. Joe Rogan's in Texas. Oh yeah,
I was gonna say Joe Rogan.
They're gonna ruin Austin.
Well, first of all, Austin is already basically well on its way to becoming a next version of Silicon Valley. But
what do the Californians say when they go there? Oh, Austin is awesome. It's fantastic. It's like home.
Yep.
So Matthew McConaughey was on Rogan like a month ago, and it was pretty interesting. He said flat out, they asked him, like, well, what were you going to tell these Californians coming to Texas? And he's like, I tell them, like, when you come to Texas, embrace our culture, embrace who we are. You lived in California, but now you live in Texas. And in Texas, we're different. They're going to fucking ruin that. Flat out. That's the first thing they're going to take away. So
let's look at this from the reverse side of it. what impact on California do you think this will have? You know, like I said, some of these companies, Oracle, HPE, these are companies that were the bedrock of the foundation of Silicon Valley. I mean, there wouldn't be a Silicon Valley without these companies, and they're going to be losing a lot of people.
Yeah. But really, how many though? Because I haven't seen a population count. Because the articles I've read up and just to prepare for this discussion was they still didn't know how many employees would stay in California and work remote, and how many were actually moving to Texas, and how many of them, the companies, whether it's Oracle or HPE, are going to pay to move. That's the big thing. If they don't pay you to move, why move?
Right, but you also have to think about it in terms of the future tense. So the companies that, you know, those startup companies that always dreamed about going to Silicon Valley, going to, you know, make it big there and become the next Apple, you know, they're not going there anymore. Now they want to go to Austin. Now they want to go to Texas, where it's cheaper for them to start.
Not just Texas. We keep talking about Texas, but that's only one of the.
Well, that's because that's where it's the biggest push. But there's also, you know, again, this is where having lower taxes and lesser regulations comes in big time to play. I mean, this is where it really becomes, you know, a great environment for these startups to come and really make their home and really blow it out of the park and bring more national attention to the Austin tech world. You know, the innovations happening out of Texas. So, you know, I do think that there's a very large impact here on California, and it's got me thinking about whether or not California is going to do anything to try to stop this.
Yeah. No, I don't think California will do anything to try to stop it.
I mean, is this not going to be a major boom to their economy?
California's economy is so large today, even in its decline, that it's, what was it, like the 17th largest nation, if it was California was a country, in its GDP? It's huge.
Yep.
So I don't really think, I'd like to see California spin off and just go off on their own. You know, just go do it, go become another country, make money. You know, you want to get out of debt, charge a tariff for us to come over there, you know, for goods to go in. But no, I don't see it affecting California at all. You know, I can't go. I almost doxed myself on something. There's still a lot of trade that goes in and out of California. It's a gateway to Asia Pacific for the seaports and for the airports, both for cargo and for passengers. It could also be considered a gateway to Mexico from its connections from Los Angeles into Mexico City. Although you could argue, you know, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas are too. So from a trade standpoint, it can be, it'll get by. It'll get by. I don't think this will hurt them that much at all.
All right.
From a grassroots, I think it's where, instead of the big companies leaving, I think where they're killing California is for the small business. That's where they're just killing all small businesses happening all over the place. And all the,
I mean, but that's also happening with COVID. Yeah. I mean, that's also happening with COVID. That's the excuse
they're using. Yeah.
Well, all right. So like I said, this is the last time we're going to be talking about politics on this show. We've done it too many times.
Who is Poodle Dick 3? What about the anal
I don't fucking know. Poodle Dick 3 is he's some dude on Twitter who's the worst follow ever.
No, he's not.
No. Sorry. Ned, trust me. All he does is just he's VD's little pet dog, and he goes around and posts images of dogs. And you asked who he was. Listen. You asked who he was. I'm answering the question. Anyways, before we do go, if you haven't donated to the GoFundMe for BPM, I implore you, everyone, to please do so. There's truly no nicer and more deserving Minifan. He's a great person. Forget Minifan. He's just a great person. He, was really done just very, very dirty. He deserves so much better than what he got. Whatever you can give, however big, however small, please do so. The link is floating around everywhere. So, just please give to that. With that, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget that this will also drop on your favorite.
Didn't we have
no, that was it. No, that was 3 already. Okay. We just flew through this.
All right, let's talk about the problems with you and VD. Come on, let's settle it right now.
And with that, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget that this will also drop on your favorite podcast players tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Check us out there as well. And please download, subscribe, rate, review. You can follow us at KMN All Aboard on Twitter. We'll talk to you guys next week. 2 nights. 2 nights. Tonight was number 6. Thank you.